don't have anybody to help me lift this stuff today. The engine hoist is going to be my buddy. So let's get to putting this stuff inside the garage, because I am definitely not wanting to work out here in this sun. Whew. I think I'm going to get everything laid out on the most level part of my driveway here. Unfortunately, my neighbor is outside cutting grass right now, so I'm not going to do much talking outside. So most likely this is going to be on a time lapse, just to give you guys a little bit of a insight as to what's going on. So hang out. All right, wish me luck. not going to say this is the dumbest thing I've ever done, because I've done some pretty stupid things, but I think this is one of the more dangerous things that I've done. I finally got the ladder up under it, so I feel sort of kind of safe. So until I get some help, I think that's as far as I can go with it. I think it's about time I clean this saw off too. Alright guys, here's the trolley I've got. Like I said, this is one that I got from work. You can see how it's got the wear on this little on that crossbar right there. That's why it was taken out of service. You know, as big as this thing is, I was expecting it to be rated for a lot more than what it actually is. It's only rated for 2,000 pounds, which is still, that's probably more than I'll ever be lifting with that thing, but it's good to know that it's fairly stout, I suppose. Alright, let's see, this side's already been taken loose for when it was took apart. Let's see if I can't get this cotter pin out. Hey, good. Alright. That's one piece. I was hoping this was a sleeve, but it's not. So, but you can see the wear. That's why it was taken out. But maybe I'll just get myself a long bolt to go through there or something. I have to measure this and see what size that bolt is. But this is going to have to come together quite a bit compared to what it was. It's probably going to be closer to about right here than anything. So let me get a measurement here. Let me go get a tape measure and I'll be right back. Okay, so that's a 3-inch I-beam. Yeah, I wasn't too far off. I'm just kind of guessing right now. So, all right, that's 3 inches right there. So that looks pretty good. So we're at 3 1/4. So we got here 1/8 inch material. Ooh, that's pretty thick. 1/4 inch. So 3 1/2 outside to outside. So 3 1/2 outside to outside, plus we need to leave a little bit for the adjustment shims and nut on each, or the head of the bolt and the nut. So let's just say we want it a 6-inch bolt. I think that should work fine. So let's see what this is. This is a 3/4 inch. No, 7/8. That's a 7/8 bolt. Now I know what I need. So I guess I'm going to, or I might just turn this down. So it'll be 3 1/4 inches in between. I could probably do that. Yeah, I think I might try that. Just turn this down. And that way I don't have to buy anything. Use what I've got. Alright guys, we got our crossbar modified here. Got it narrowed down to 3 inches. I cheated and got a buddy of mine to do this while I was working today. He did a fantastic job. He did better than I would have, I can tell you that. But anyway, let's see what we've got here. I measured the beam. The beam is supposed to be, or the beam is actually 3 inches wide. And from things I've read on the internet, that says that you want an 1/8 inch gap between this shoulder and the beam on each side. So we need, I guess we need a total of 3 1/4. inches between them. So let's see where we are right here. So we are at 2 and looks like 11/16. So let's put a few shims in there. There we go. Well, looks like we didn't do anything there. I guess I'm gonna need to tighten these. I guess I'm gonna need to tighten these bolts down. Well, that's 3 3/8. So we need to take one shim out. Three and a quarter. All right. So that looks like that'll work. To me. You know, I think I'm going to take one of those shims out because I'm not happy with that. I like that better. Alright guys, here's the chain hoist I've got. I don't know how long I've had this thing, but a friend of mine gave it to me a long time ago. Said some construction workers left it at his house when they were doing a job and just never came back to retrieve it. So good fortune for me, I guess. So I'm going to stick it up there on the trolley so I can get an idea of how this thing's going to look. You guys tune back in tomorrow when I finally get this thing all the way down. Alright guys, the past couple of evenings haven't been very kind to us. Seems like every time I get out here all it wants to do is rain on me. So now it's Saturday morning. It's great. The sun is behind the house. I'm working in the shade. So let me show you what we've got done so far. We got all 4 of our pieces cut for the feet. I went ahead and, well, let me start over here. I got this one test fitted on, as you can see in a previous clip. Then I took this one and mimicked it, went ahead and drilled out the bolt hole pattern and welded the casters on. So now what my plan today is to take these off, swap it with this, and then take these and prep them like this. What I did was I took and separated the tubes, cleaned it off, put some primer in between the pieces of metal, that way it wouldn't rust immediately. So it kind of gives it a little bit of a coat of protection. Then I clamped them together and welded the casters on so it's all held together nice and tight. So I'm going to swap this onto there and then prep these just like this, and then swap this I-beam out, and we will almost be done with all the fab work. So let's get busy working. All right guys, paint's dry. Let's clamp them together, start marking them out for our oh, you know what, I just realized that I've got to take the wheels off that other I-beam so I can actually finish this part up. So let me go outside and do that. So I just put a little spritz of paint on the insides where these tubes will meet, so it doesn't just instantly start rusting. It's probably not going to last forever, but it'll make me feel better. Get our gigantic square out here and make sure our holes are somewhat aligned, close enough. So now we know everything's held in place this way. So we'll get our wheel, and I'm not doing anything groundbreaking here as far as measurements is concerned. Oh, you know what? I think the other side I welded with that seam down. So I think that's what I want to do here too, just again to make me feel better. So let's flip this over here and we'll realign this again. Just kind of eyeball the center there. Be good enough. Now let's mark this side. So there we go. I need to clean this out, and I'll do the same on the other end. Mark it. Now I'll have to swap my cutting wheel out for a grinding wheel, since we lost one of the grinders here earlier in this build process. I still got to go buy me another one, because it just makes it a lot more convenient. Because if you're going to buy a cheap grinder, you might as well buy a couple of them and just keep it set up on whatever you're using it for, grinding or cutting, which is what I had it. But I mean, like I said, the hyper tough one died on me, so probably go get me another one here pretty soon. All right, I've got all the mill scale ground off where it needs to be. I can go ahead and weld the casters on, go ahead and give this thing a coat of paint, and then I'm going to break for lunch and come back and install it. All right, we're going to let that dry, or not dry. We're going to let that cool off. All right, we're going to let that cool off, and I'll clean it off with some brake clean, spritz me a coat of paint on there, and like I said, go get some lunch. So hang out. All right, she's cooled down enough. What did I do with the brake clean? Well, this is my life, looking for stuff that I just had in my hand. Oh boy. Hey, there it is. Tell you what, after using this stuff right here, going back to one of these spray cans is, man, it's kind of painfully slow. Okay, let's let that dry. I'll start cleaning up a little bit and let's go get some lunch. Alrighty, let me get my bolts. Roll this into position. Alright. Let's drop her down. Uh-oh. Alright. It feels a whole lot more stable than it did before. All right, guys, we have got it all put together. I have my triangular braces welded in. It's done, except for the paint. Now, like I said, I'm not going to bore you guys to death with that, but you can see wheels are on, legs are on. I bolted the uprights to the feet, rather. I bolted to. Anyway, I'm hot and I am just rambling on right now, but anyway, let me go over the cost of everything on here, and really it's not much, because I'm pretty much a pack rat and I've been holding on to a lot of this stuff for years and years and years. So the legs right here, the I-beam, those were all free from a company that was shutting down, and I snagged those. I figured I would be building this thing one of these days. The trolley I got from work. They were taking it out of service. They were going to throw it away. And these pieces of 3-inch C-channel right here, kind of rusty. They were being thrown away at work. I got those. Had to buy the bolts. Got those from Tractor Supply. I had to buy the 2x4 tube. Got that from Steel Mart out here in Gainesville. The wheels, those were being replaced by locking units, and they were going to go in the trash, so I was able to snag those and bring them home. So basically what I've got as actual purchased parts with this whole deal is the 2x4 box tube. I bought two pieces of it because I'm going to be using, the other piece for other projects. But so it was like $235 or something. Let's just round it up to $240 for both pieces. So let's just say $120 for the metal that I've got that I actually used here. The bolts, that was another 20 bucks. Those bolts get pretty expensive when they get big like that. Those are 9/16 bolts. 9/16 by 2-inch bolts, and I'll get them over at Tractor Supply because they sell them by the pound. I'm not sure if that works out better with the big stuff or not, but it just seems like you get a better deal whenever you buy the small ones. You get a pound of them, you get like a whole big bag full of them. It feels like a good deal. But when you come home with 8 bolts and there were like 3 pounds, just like so anyway, the chain hoist or chain fall, whichever one you want to call it. People call it both. Like I said, a friend of mine gave that to me probably 20 years ago. But anyway, there it is. I've got, what did I say, 120, like 140, 150 bucks in the whole thing. So I feel good about it. I'm proud of it. It's going to work well whenever I start working on that truck. I'm going to be able to pull the bed off, pull the cab off relatively easily. So I won't have to have any help doing that. Have I said enough? There I go again. Look guys, I'm tired, it's hot. I'm about to sit down and scroll on my phone for a little while.